Hello Internet, my name is Hazel from Hazelnutty Games, and this is an early look at the state of Restoration Druids in the Warlords of Draenor beta. This information is from build 1H716 and is subject to change with future builds. Let's start by going over abilities that have been pruned from the Resto spec, and in some cases just taken right out of the game. Maim, Lacerate, Fairy Fire, Maul, Swipe, Rip, Might of Ursoc, and Survival Instincts are still in the game, but no longer available to Resto Druids. Aw darn. Track Humanoids as an ability has technically been removed, but the effect is now passive to cat form, so you can still track humanoids whenever you happen to be a kitty. Wild Mushroom Bloom has been removed. Wild Mushrooms have seen a major redesign this expansion, and they don't have any kind of bloom function anymore. Maybe next X-Pack will see some wild daisies. Swift Rejuvenation has been removed. This was a passive ability we used to have that reduced the global cooldown triggered by Rejuvenate by half a second. That's gone. Hibernate has been removed from the game. Feral Druids and Ghost Wolves can now both frolic about the arena without fear of napping. Nature's Grasp has been removed. You can still root people with other abilities, it's just not quite as incredibly convenient. Symbiosis has been removed. You, and by you I mean me, are officially off the hook for memorizing which class gets what ability. The whole shebang is just gone. Nourish has been removed. The role of an efficient, cast time, single target heal has been taken over by Healing Touch. Last, and most tragic as far as I'm concerned, Innervate has been removed. Promises have been made to adjust our mana costs to compensate, but I don't think it'll ever be quite the same. Next, let's talk about the changes that are happening to the spells that we get to keep. Travel form now automatically transitions between aquatic, land, and flight form depending on the druid's location. You get one button, but 3 forms. If you want the option to be a stag in a flying-enabled area, you can use Glyph of the Stag. This will give you a separate button allowing you to stag up at will and carry a player on your back while you're at it. You cannot use this at the same time as Glyph of Travel, which buffs your movement speed in all of the 3 travel forms by 60%. That glyph stacks with talents and other mount speed buffs, and I think it works out to be a bit more all-around handy. Cyclone can now be dispelled with Mass Dispel and immunity buffs such as Divine Shield and Ice Block. It's also going to share diminishing returns with Fears. Wild Mushroom now causes the Efflorescence effect, and it'll appear at the feet of a target player rather than having its own targeting reticle. Efflorescence is no longer caused by Swiftment. Cat form now increases movement speed by 30%, up from 25%. Life Bloom no longer stacks, and has had its healing increased. You can still automatically refresh it by casting Regrowth and Healing Touch. Tranquility has been changed to heal every member in range every 2 seconds for 8 seconds. There's no more HOTS or stacking involved. The healing should remain the same, and they want you to still be using it for the same emergency situations. Genesis has been redesigned. It now consumes all of the Druid's Rejuvenation effects on party or raid members within 60 yards, and applies the Genesis effect to them instead. That Genesis effect heals the target for an amount equal to the remaining healing from those consumed rejuvenations over 3 seconds. Regrowth now has a duration of 12 seconds, up from 6 seconds, but it no longer refreshes its duration on targets that are at or below 50% health. Revive's mana cost has been reduced by 87%. The Soul of the Forest talent for Restoration Druids has been redesigned. In the new version, you gain the Soul of the Forest buff from casting Swiftment. This will reduce the cast time of your next Healing Touch by 50%, or increase the healing of the next Regrowth, Rejuvenation, or Wild Growth by 100%. The Disorienting Roar talent has been renamed to Incapacitating Roar. It will incapacitate nearby enemies instead of disorienting them, and it shares diminishing returns with other Mesmerize effects. My immersion, it's been broken. Wild Growth now has a 1.5 second cast time, increased from its old instacast. You can now refresh the duration of any periodic heal or damage spell at any time within the last 30% of the duration of that spell, with no penalty to duration or tick time. This means that if I cast Rejuvenation for 16 seconds, I can refresh it during the last 5 or so seconds, and the remainder of the original heal will be added onto the timer of the new Rejuvenation. In a raid environment, the cooldown of your Rebirth, which is your combat res, is going to be shared as charges across your entire group. Any member of the raid casting a successful battle res consumes a charge. These charges will recharge at a given rate depending on your raid size. A 10-man raid will get a charge every 9 minutes, and a 20-man raid will get charges every 4.5 minutes. The official mathematical formula is 1 charge per 90 divided by your raid size, minutes. Outside of a group, the cooldown of Rebirth will function normally. Druids, and all classes, will now learn certain glyphs automatically as they level without having to purchase them. See the description below this video for the affected Druid glyphs, or just check the latest beta patch notes for a full list. Nature's Swiftness can no longer affect Cyclone. There's a line in the patch notes saying that they've removed the ability to make CC spells into instacast through the use of a cooldown, but it should be noted that Nature's Swiftness, at this time, can still affect Entangling roots in the beta. With spell changes out of the way, let's look at the choices for your level 100 talent in Warlords of Draenor. Moment of Clarity allows your Omen of Clarity to last for 5 seconds rather than 1 cast. This will allow you to cast multiple regrowth at 0 mana cost when Omen procs, as long as you do it right away. Germination extends the duration of your Rejuvenation and lets you stack 2 of them on the same target. This will give you bigger burst healing with Genesis, and it's got some good tank healing potential. I almost had a rap written for a sec there. Last, Rampant Growth modifies your Swiftmen spell to be similar to what it once was, once upon a time. It causes Swiftmen to consume your regrowth or rejuvenation off a target, but it buffs the healing of Swiftmen by 100% and takes away the cooldown. This will give you the option for more burst, and it'll have varying levels of mana efficiency depending on how awesome you are at consuming hots that were almost finished anyways. Like other healing classes in the beta, things have been tightened up a lot. Healing 5-man dungeons wasn't exactly difficult, but it definitely required more attention than the dungeons in Mists. Even without Innervate, mana was only really stressful during emergencies. In situations where you need to spam your high throughput spells though, you'll go pretty quickly. Having said that, healing as a Resto Druid doesn't feel completely crippled. You still have plenty of tools to prevent bad situations, or deal with them if they happen. Mana management during low damage times felt more important just in case something goes horribly wrong later. The skill cap for this class, and healers in general, has definitely been raised. Once Warlords hits, it'll be pretty apparent which healers are keepers, and which ones have Netflix open on their other monitor. I do see the difficulty settling down a lot once everyone is familiar with the dungeons and learns their new spec. And that's what Resto Druids are like in the Warlords of Draenor beta. Check out my channel for other spec overviews, Warlords beta content, and other gaming videos if you're into that kind of thing. Let me know what you think, and have a wonderful, wonderful day! Bye!